guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video. Now today we are doing my very early Premier League predictions for the 2021-2022 season, and let's do this. So then guys, before we get into this video, let's just break it down for you. I've split this into 5 tiers. We have top 4 here, the teams I expect to make the Champions League, then 5th down to 9th, 10th to 13th, so sort of mid-table, 14th to 17th, so just surviving, and then my bottom 3. And as you can see, I've got all the 20 Premier League clubs scattered across the bottom here. Just before we get into this video, guys, make sure you have left it a thumbs up and subscribed, and let's get started with Brentford then. Obviously, Brentford have just come up to the Premier League, their first time in the top flight since the 40s. And honestly, if any club did deserve it, it is definitely them. They have had to be patient. They were in League 2, they got promoted. They were in League 1, they got promoted. And they were in the Championship for a few years, knocking on the doors, kept losing out in the playoffs and stuff like that. But finally, they've made it to the Premier League. And do you know what? I expect them to stay up. I expect them to just stay up. It's not going to be easy for them, but I'm going to say they do stay up. Obviously, they've got good players. If they can hang on to Ivan Toney, that'd be important. But not just Ivan Toney, they've got lots of good players all over the pitch. I like their manager as well. And they've got a nice little new stadium. So if they can fill that with fans in the stadiums next year, they could be a decent team. But Brentford, for me, they will stay up next year. Now, next up, we've got Watford Football Club, another club who've just come up from the Championship. They bounced back at the first attempt, so fair play to them. They finished second in the end, and they were quite good last season. They had their moments where they weren't looking too certain to get automatically promoted, but they ended the season incredibly strong and finished second place. And I'm going to say Watford will just survive as well. I expect Watford to be between 14th and 17th. Now, it's going to be tough for Watford. Obviously, last time in the Premier League, they didn't get off to a good start, so they need to this time. But I think they're just about going to do it, Watford. I think they will just stay up. Now, next up, we've got West Ham United. Obviously, they were fantastic last season. And it's hard to say where they're going to finish next season. For me, I'm going to put them mid-table. They could do one better. Obviously, they did really well last season. Where was it they finished? Was it 6th or 7th or something like that? I think they're going to finish around 10th, 11th, or maybe even 12th. But yeah, they've got a lot of quality. If they can really hang on to their best players, I really like Declan Rice. He's so important. And David Moyes is a good manager for a club like West Ham. I think West Ham could really push on and have another good season next year. Now, next up, we've got Newcastle United. This will be a club, no doubt, flirting with danger next season. They aren't really getting too much investment, are they? Well, what do you expect when Mike Ashley is your owner and Steve Bruce is your manager? It's a bit dinosaur football, really. And the Newcastle fans aren't happy. But they do just about keep surviving, and I'm going to say it'll be the same situation next year. I think they will just survive. I think there could be times where they're flirting with trouble, especially if they have a tough run of fixtures through the season. But I think overall Newcastle will probably just survive again, and I really hope they do, because they are a big club and they really do deserve better than being in a relegation fight. Next up, we've got Arsenal. Now, Arsenal obviously finished mid-table last season. I think they'll do a little bit better next season, but I don't think they will be in the top 4. I'm going to say 5th to 9th, probably fighting for European football, maybe the Europa League or something. But yeah, last season was a real shambles for Arsenal, so they need a big summer, and a big summer of recruitment as well, because I think Arsenal really do need to push on, because they're a big club. Next up, Brighton Hove Albion. I'm going to surprise a few people here. I'm going to say they're going to finish mid-table. Now, last season, they were absolutely fantastic for a team that was in the relegation battle. They play some really good football. I think you've got to put it down to the manager, Graham Potter. He's absolutely fantastic. And with the top team, he could really do bits. I think Brighton are a well-run club. If they can get the recruitment right, if they can hang on to their best players, they'll have a good season. And like I say, mid-table for Brighton next season, because I just like how they run, I like how they play their football, and I like Graham Potter. Now, next up, Burnley. I'm sorry, Burnley, but I'm going to say you're going to be a team that will fall through the trap door. Now, they obviously could prove me wrong, especially with Sean Dyche as the manager. They do just know how to survive in this division. They've got some fairly solid players. They're a real man's team. They play Brexit football, but they can play some decent football on the day as well. But for me, I'm going to say Burnley will slip through the trapdoor next season. It's very hard to see who's going to go down, because you've got some real quality coming up from the Championship next year. And I'm going to say Burnley are going to be one of the teams to go down. Now, next up, Norwich City. I really hope they stay up. I thought they were fantastic last year in the Championship. They're by far the best team in the Championship whenever they do come down. They just always win it. But the problem is, when they get up to the Premier League, they don't massively invest. And they have obviously sold their best player, Emi Buendia, to Aston Villa. They did get 30 or 40 million for him, so I hope they do use that money wisely. But Norwich seem to be a club that are happy to be run in a way which seems they go down, but then they come up, and then they go down and they come up. And like I say, as much as I want them to stay up, I don't think they will. I think Norwich, for me, they're just going to keep bouncing between the divisions if they keep being run the way they are. Like I say, there's some Norwich fans on the channel. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I just don't know about Norwich. I think they could be a team that go down, but they could prove me wrong, guys. They could definitely prove me wrong. Now, next up, Chelsea FC. Definitely top 4 for me. They obviously won the Champions League last year, and I think they're going to be a real threat to win the Premier League this year. They're a good club, they're well run, and I really like Tuchel as the manager. And yeah, they really should try and target the Premier League this year. I know Man City will probably be the favourites, but Chelsea have got to be probably the next favourites or the third favourites or whatever, because they really were fantastic last season. I think they've been linked with Haaland. If they bring him in, then they're going to be so frightening. But one player for them who is so crucial is N'Golo Kante, and if they just keep him for the next few seasons, they're guaranteed to keep finishing in and around that top 4. Next up, Crystal Palace. It's going to be a season of transition with Roy Hodgson obviously leaving the club. Honestly, he was a massively underrated manager. He kept them up when, you know, they could have really gone down. They haven't had the best squad over the last couple of years, and I'm going to say they will go down this year. Palace fans, I'm happy to be proved wrong. You could stay up easily, but I don't know with Crystal Palace. Like I say, Roy Hodgson did keep them up with not the best players, so I don't know next year. It's going to be a transition. They could fall through the trap door. Next up, Everton. This is tricky, isn't it? They kind of fell away last season. They started really well, but I think Carlo Ancelotti will be a bit disappointed with where they finished. I'm going to say they finish between 5th and 9th. With Carlo Ancelotti and with the players they've got, they will be a force next season, but it's just a matter of can they be consistent over a season, because they do flirt with the top 4 every now and then, but in the end, they weren't good enough last season. Next club, Leicester City, obviously the FA Cup winners. I think it's going to be another similar story for them. I think this will be the 3rd time it's happened to them between 5th and 9th. They obviously missed out on the Champions League last year. The same thing happened the season before. They keep missing out on the final day. They could be a team that sneak in and battle for the top 4 this season, but I'm going to put them between 5th and 9th. They might concentrate on the Europa League. Who knows? They could be a team that win that, but I'm going to say Leicester City will be pretty solid next year. Now next up, Liverpool Football Club. For me, this is a fairly easy one. Top 4 again. Obviously a very strange season from Liverpool last season. They were expected to do very well. They started very well, and then through December and January they absolutely collapsed, and I think they lost 6 home games in a row or something like that, or didn't win 6 home games in a row after they had such a great home record. I think Liverpool will make the top 4. Whether they'll win the league, I don't know. They could be in a title race, but it's really hard to predict Liverpool after the season they've just had. Next up, Manchester City, definitely top 4. I can't see them falling outside the top 4. They are a strange team though, Man City, although they do continually win the title every now and then. The seasons they don't win the title, they can really fall off a cliff and finish about 3rd or 4th and maybe even 5th, but I think Man City are going to be too solid next year to fall away, and I think they are going to be the favourites for the title, so Man City are definitely in the top 4 for me, and so are their Manchester neighbours, Manchester United. I don't know about a title race for them, but they are definitely improving under Solskjaer. I know some people don't rate Solskjaer. I'm not a massive fan personally because he hasn't really won anything for them yet, but you've got to say last season was the best season since Sir Alex has gone. I know they didn't win any trophies, but they were definitely in the title race around January time, and you could put that down to one player, Bruno Fernandes. And they have got a few quality players now. People do rate Harry Maguire. Luke Shaw was definitely better last season. I thought Wan-Bissaka improved last season. And Edinson Cavani, I think if he's there next season with Rashford and Greenwood, they could be a real force going forward. So United do make the top 4 for me. Next up, Southampton. I think they survive. I don't know where they finish roughly, but I'll put them between 14th and 17th. They've got really good players, and they do play some decent football. Obviously, I like Che Adams, I like Shane Long, I like Danny Ings, I like James Ward-Prowse. They have got some decent players, and they always bring through good young players and sell them on. So I think Southampton do survive. It'll be another year of Premier League football for them after this one, I believe. But yeah, whether they finish 14th to 17th, I don't know. They could finish a little bit higher. Next up, we've got Leeds United. For me, this is going to be another one where I put 5th to 9th. Now, they could be unpredictable next season. Obviously, they did do very well this season. In some games, they were absolutely fantastic and scored loads of goals. But there could be a case of second season syndrome. I hope not, because I like Leeds, and obviously the Leeds fans will hope not. I'm going to put them between 5th and 9th. They could be a real force next season again. I just think with Bielsa, they do play some really good football, and I think they will be in the top half again. Now, next up, we've got Aston Villa. They were really good last season. They really did improve. I'm going to put them mid-table this year. I think with West Ham, maybe they drop off a little bit. I don't know. Maybe could be the same. Depends what they do in the summer. They've obviously signed Buendia. He's a great player. Will they hang on to Grealish? I don't know, but he's obviously a great player if they do. I'm going to put them in mid-table, though. Next up, you've got Spurs. it's got to be 5th to 9th, hasn't it? I think Spurs are obviously a decent club. They had a bit of a strange season last year, and we still haven't, at the time of recording this, found out who their new manager is. I think they will be a decent team next year. They really want to hold on to Harry Kane because he is massive for them. I think they will be in a top 4 race, but will they make it? I'm not 100% sure. And then the last club we've got is Wolves, where I'm going to put them in mid-table as well. Obviously, Nuno's gone, so they could be a strange team next year. Hard to predict. But for me, guys, that is my Premier League early predictions for the 21-22 season. And yeah, what do you guys think? So then, guys, that wraps up today's video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Like I say, there's plenty of tricky teams to predict because it's going to be a very unpredictable season. But make sure to leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.